I hate the word networking because I just feel like that's such a old school, like I just think of like the 1950s, people passing out business cards and
Yes.
stiff and, but truly we still have to build networks, right?
Right.
I mean, whether you're a college student who's looking for a job, it's good to start building relationships because you never know what's going to happen with those relationships. It's good to build your networks. So yes, the Chamber is a great gateway because it affords people the opportunity to meet other people.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the McKinney Momentum podcast, produced here by the McKinney Economic Development Corporation. I'm Luke Gajary, the marketing manager here. I'm joined today by a co-host, I guess you could say, Caroline Causey, our new project manager on the team. And we have a very special guest that we're going to be talking to, Lisa Hermes from the Chamber of Commerce. Lisa, welcome.
Hey, thank you. This is exciting. I love the name Momentum too, because there is a lot of momentum happening in McKinney.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, appreciate that. We kind of did a focus group and did some workshops and realized that was a name that people could kind of latch onto. Yeah. So I love that we are in this office together and you are just across the hall. You didn't have to come very far to our studio. So
I brought my own coffee.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah.
So thanks for coming. I want to just make a note before we dive in. This is a different format than usual. We have two kind of hosts today. The reason being Caroline joined the team from the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And so you have kind of this bridge of economic development and Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
And I thought that you could help us kind of drive the conversation, have some meaningful questions, kind of obviously we're excited to have you and hear about what you do in the chamber and all of that, but then connect it to how does that matter when it comes to economic development?
Right.
So I guess before we dive into the chamber and all that, I just want to know, who's Lisa? Like, what's your origin story? How did you end up in McKinney and why McKinney?
Well, you said we only had a few minutes, right? So this is I guess like most people today, depending on your job and family and all those things, we kind of move around. But I'm a native Texan, which is now becoming a rare breed, but I'm from South Texas, so it does feel like I'm from another state because Texas is so huge. I grew up in a town called Beeville. Not sure why it was named Beeville because we didn't have any more bees than any other community. I think we had the same number as what you see in McKinney, but kind of a small town. Went off, started a different career. I was in journalism, so that kind of brought me to North Texas, to the Fort Worth side, actually. I've lived in Fort Worth before.
Yeah.
I actually worked in Burleson and
Nice.
covered Alvarado and Joshua and
Absolutely.
Everman and all of those towns, kind of south of
Yeah.
Fort Worth. So really kind of came to the Metroplex. And then through jobs and other things, I made my way to Collin County, like so many people are these days, and really fell in love with McKinney. I thought McKinney was kind of the best of so many different things that I liked about Fort Worth, because it has that strong community, like tie of the community, a lot of history, but you're still connected to arts and shopping and great restaurants and all close to airports and things to do. And so you have a lot of different things that really made a community a special community. And so came here, left the journalism world and worked for the McKinney Chamber as their communications and public policy director for 3 years and fell in love with chamber work, which I know we're going to get into, and I can explain more why.
Yeah.
Went to a couple of other chambers in the Metroplex, and then when this position came open, I was really wanting to get back to McKinney because this was where I had a lot of ties and just a love for the community.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I shortened that because I can go. I know that was kind of a long version.
Yeah, started
you
when I was
thought.
born, and then, that was perfect. That's good. This
Okay.
is a good kind of context.
All right.
And my wife is from South Texas, so I love South Texas.
Which part?
Laredo, so all the way down.
Okay.
Almost Mexico.
So full disclosure, when I say I'm from South Texas, to people in North Texas, they do think where I'm from is South.
Yeah.
And then I meet somebody from like Laredo or
McAllen,
and they're like, girlfriend, you're not. You're not from South Texas. I'm like, it's all relative.
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely.
big state.
So, well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
In McKinney and with the chamber.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, and I'll let you guys kind of get into chamber logistics. I want to talk about just from a because if you're new to local government, or if you don't really have an understanding of kind of the inner workings of the different departments of the city and how does the chamber work, can you just give us like a explain like I'm five, or
Sure.
like an overview of the chamber?
Well, this is exciting. Well, because first of all, when you're on a plane and you're sitting next to somebody and they're like, "Hey, so what do you do?" And I'm like, "I work for a chamber." And they're like, "Oh, so how do you like working for the city?" And I'm like,
That's not what
I
it is.
don't work for the city, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't really feel like going into it. So I don't like go, "Oh, it's great,"
Yeah.
But
I think
no,
a lot of people,
there's that confusion of
Right.
like, and I think that in like, because Fort Worth is set up a little bit different than, because all chambers we do the same things, but sometimes we're structured a little bit different.
Right.
So like our chamber, for instance, we don't do, we're not in charge of or receive any hot taxes. So we don't do, which is the hotel occupancy tax. We don't do tourism. However, every time I say that I have like a comma but, we partner a lot because we have things in common with different city entities and their goals. So they're here to bring people to come to McKinney. Well, we want people to come to McKinney too, and we want them to go to our businesses and go eat at restaurants and shop and explore the community. Same thing with economic development. There are some chambers that have that function. So like the Irving Los Colinas Chamber, for instance, they do economic development among other things. We don't do that, but as you all know, we work closely together on a lot of stuff. Like people, Madison is working a lot. Madison here at MEDC does the business retention expansion. So we're always cross-referencing because we're talking to companies, she's talking to companies, and our goal is to make sure that those businesses are successful, that they stay here, they expand, they hire more people, that's that common goal. So how can we work better together in those areas? I'm curious in Fort Worth, like what you saw with the relationship, because it's structured a little bit differently than what we have here.
Right. So between membership and marketing, very strong there as well. I know it is here. And then that economic development component as well, which is where I came from. But I think that a lot of people have a really hard time understanding what a Chamber of Commerce does. And again, like you said, they think that you're a part of the city and you're not. And so can you kind of go into how you were funded? Because that's different than how we're funded.
Absolutely. Great question, because I get that a lot, especially when we used to be office downtown and people would come by and try, no joke, to pay their water bill. Because the building we were in kind of looked like it was, you could like they had it was an old TP&L, or Texas Power and Light company, so it had that porte-cochere that you could, pay a bill. So they were like, clearly you're the water department.
Clearly.
No. But so we are a 501c6. So what that means is we're a nonprofit, but we're not a charitable nonprofit. We are a business trade association. So, a lot of people who might be in a profession like, if you're an attorney or a CPA, you might join your professional association and it's all one industry. We're kind of like that, except it's all businesses. And you don't necessarily, we have businesses that are members of the chamber who aren't in McKinney. We do have some businesses that their main office may be outside of McKinney, but they do business with companies or people in McKinney.
Right.
So we're here to help them grow and succeed as well. Obviously, the majority of people are located here in McKinney. So we are funded through our members. They sign up for a membership. We call it an investment because membership to me is kind of an older term. Yes, you're a member of our organization, but truly you're investing in our mission. And with that may come some direct benefit to the business. So we have opportunities for building relationships through networking. We have marketing opportunities. We've got workshops so that they can, especially for small businesses that are, needing some help. Maybe they're really good at baking a cake, but they don't necessarily know the best ways to identify their customers and market to their customers. So let's bring in some experts and help them so that they can gain that knowledge. But we also work on community initiatives. So that's where a lot of our larger companies really kind of focus and lean in on that, because they may not need help with the more granular things that some of our smaller companies do, but they want to live in a community where it's a thriving community. And so their challenges may be trying to identify workforce, which that's really, we can go down that path in a little bit, but that's a big issue. So why it's hard to find a workforce is, maybe affordable housing. They can't, they're having to recruit from outside of McKinney where people can afford to live. So that is a community initiative that we're working on, and we're partnering with MCDC and some other city agencies to figure out how we can maybe impact or address that issue. So it's another way that we partner. And then we advocate. That is probably a really big voice, or a big piece of what we do is to have a voice for business. In fact, I just got back from Austin last night. Our legislators in session, so we are there working on behalf, trying to make sure they make good policy decisions that impact our community and our business community.
Right.
Yeah, and I really see you guys as kind of the gateway for businesses to the community.
Yeah.
So at our open house for this new office, we had a guy who was touring the space, and I got to talk to him. I can't remember his name. He's a restaurant owner, has a franchise. I think he moved here from the Midwest, and he's like, I joined the chamber a few months ago, and I'm excited to dive into McKinney and this area. And he's even leveraging relationships and how to better understand the new county that he's in, the new region that he's in. How do I do business here? How is this different than where I came from? I think it was Illinois or somewhere like that. And so he's leaning on the chamber for those relationships and those connections, not just, I joined the chamber, I got my logo on a website, but like I actually have a connection to the community through the chamber.
I think that's such a good point, especially because you see we're one of the fastest growing communities in the nation, right? County, city, the nation. So we do have a lot of people coming in, and being a part of the chamber is like a platform for you to be able to make those connections. I hate the word networking because I just feel like that's such a old school, like I just think of like the 1950s, people passing out business cards and stiff and but truly we still have to build networks, right? I mean, whether you're a college student who's looking for a job, it's good to start building relationships because you never know what's going to happen with those relationships. It's good to build your networks. So yes, the chamber is a great gateway because it affords people the opportunity to meet other people. And what I find about people in McKinney in general, but also our businesses, they're super supportive. I mean, they're like, it's not like, oh, you're new, we don't want you. It is, oh, you're new, let me share with you some of my experiences. Let me get you connected to this person. This would be a natural tie for you. So it's really easy for people to become a part of our fabric of our community. So having like I said earlier, I mean, there's so much history and there's some amazing legacy families that have done a lot for our community, but also there's just so many opportunities for people to also plug in and get connected and become interwoven in the community. So yeah, the connections and relationships is something that the chamber can definitely provide.
So let me just let you plug it really quick, since we're talking about it. How do I join the chamber if I'm a new business watching this and I want to jump in? Where do I go? How do I start?
Lots of different, because we want you. So you can go online and join. There's a Join Now button on our homepage, McKinneyChamber.com. And if you join online, somebody's going to contact you. But another way to join is we have a whole membership team that is focused on really making sure that we're engaging you. Because as I said, when you come we do a benefits and breakfast the third Thursday of every month. Anyone's welcome to come, just saying. And we go over all the programs and all the things that we do at the chamber, and it can be a little bit overwhelming because we have a women's division helping support women in business. We've got McKinney Young Professionals. We have a Senior Services Alliance, which is businesses that focus on seniors, helping seniors and adult children of seniors. We've got our advocacy. We've got community initiatives. Like, there's just so many things that we do. So we want to customize your experience because we do have all these things. And if you're a new restaurant owner from the Midwest, you may not want to plug in necessarily to the Senior Services Alliance, but you may really want to be involved with our links Wednesday morning networking and getting to know people. So we want to hear all about your business and figure out what would be of benefit to you, and then we'll customize a package for you.
Perfect.
So that you can get engaged and really have impact with your investment in the chamber. So thank you for letting me plug that.
Yeah, that's so great.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so whenever you're talking about the chamber, I will just say, I've only been here a month in McKinney, loving it. But I've already been to a chamber event, which is awesome that was even able to happen in just I think 3 weeks of being here at the time. Yeah. So thank you for that, and thank you for the events that you put on, and I met people through that, and I was able to see from the panel, it was at Encore Wire, and so I was able to see from the young professionals' view as well, just the importance of the chamber, and like he said, with a new company coming in and things like that, you never know who you need to know and when you need to know them, and I think the chamber is a great way to meet those people and really understand the community whether you're trying to deep dive or you're trying to just get your basics of the community. I think that it's a great opportunity for businesses.
Yeah. Well, we started a program a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's been a couple of years. Time flies. And it's a business development series. And actually, we appreciate MEDC. They are a huge supporter of that, which their investment in that program helps us to be able to put it on. But it's not just making connections, but it's also learning about the community. So we take different areas, and even if you're not new, even if you've been here, you might be saying, well, what's going on at 380 in Hardin? There's like so much development. What's happening? What are the future plans? What are the considerations with roads? All those different things. So we'll bring experts in, or people who have expertise in that area, to give you the scoop on what's happening. We've done that here where our new office is at District 121, and learned about what's happening here in Hub 121. We've done the airport. We've been East McKinney. It was really everybody's very interested in what's happening in the redevelopment of the east side of McKinney. So we've had a business development update there. We'll be bringing that back because the great thing about McKinney is there's so much happening that you do it 1 year. Well, a year later, there's something new. There's something else going on. So that's another way just to learn about the community as a whole.
Right. And I think also, McKinney has a very strong community already, but whenever people feel and are getting that knowledge of understanding what is going on in the community, it can only strengthen the community because everyone wants to be in the know. Everyone wants to know about all the exciting things that are happening. So whenever you give them that opportunity to really dig in and learn more about what's happening, I think that can only strengthen McKinney.
Yeah. I'll have to plug our leadership program real fast, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, we're going to be accepting applications. Another way, I think, to get very involved in the community is going through Leadership McKinney. It's a 9-month course. It starts in August with a retreat, and it's a little bit... It's become so popular that we have a application process, and you don't always get in the first time you apply because we have reasons why. We have a class of 30, and that's because we're trying to build the best experience for the class. But that is a good way because it's not only we do some leadership development skills. So that's always good to sharpen that professional development aspect. But we also focus 1 day a month. You'll have a full day class, and it might be learning about the city government, or it might be learning about the criminal justice, or it might be healthcare or education. And so we take those topics, and you get to meet with leaders in those different areas of our community, and not only learn about what's happening, but also kind of learn about issues, challenges, because the whole goal is we want people to graduate from the program and find their passion and kind of plug in, because the more that we have informed, engaged leaders in our community helping solve problems, the stronger our community becomes. So it's a great program. Hopefully, if people are interested in engaging in that way, that's another great opportunity.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I've seen, so I've been in McKinney a year now, and I've just seen either people that went through Leadership McKinney years ago and are now in a position of leadership with the city council or on staff with the city, or people who were in leadership already with the city, went through Leadership McKinney and now have grown, whether that's through a promotion or a different assignment within the city, and just expanded their leadership. So I think it's a great program. I personally have not been through. I would love to, but it's
There's always this year.
Gotta apply. So I think it's a testament to the development of people, and it's achieving the goal that you had in mind when you built that program. So it's a really
well.
really
I can't
cool
take credit
program.
for it. Somebody back in the '80s came up with this idea, and then we've had wonderful people just engage in it and keep it relevant and keep it fresh, and not just because I've been through some programs that it's like this is how they fill a pothole, and it's like no, we really want to dive into like what are the challenges that the city faces, and looking at 380 for instance, or the airport expansion, or in healthcare. I mean, my God, and especially in healthcare, we heard of a lot of challenges pre-COVID and then post-COVID, like how they're having to kind of find a new way,
Right.
So thank you. It's a great program.
It's a great program for sure.
What about more, because I went to that event, there was more on the young professional group
Yes.
as well. So could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think also, whenever you have that program where young professionals can really come and network and meet more people, and then also just really be able to dive into the community as well, that's just helping your pipeline even more of strong leaders in McKinney.
Yeah, so that program started, which this is going to totally age me because I told you that I worked at the Chamber in 2006. When I came here, I was in the young professional category, and so I helped start the program, and now I've aged out of it. So that's like, I don't. Wow,
Hey,
that was
it's
like an
legacy.
eye-opening moment. I was like,
We'll call it legacy. It's legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah.
And there was a group of us. It wasn't just me, but it was a group of us that started it. And in fact, I saw someone the other day, and she's like, "Remember when?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And now I'm not even allowed to come to an event. Like, it's great. It's great. No, so it actually started. A lot of chambers started them around that time. And it's because, it's because Raytheon came to us. If you know, Raytheon's our largest employer currently in McKinney. And they, at that time, and they still do, it's funny how some things don't change, their big issue is a talent pipeline. And so they want to be able to attract top talent and be able to keep them here. And so they were like, this is one of our challenges. And we're like, well, we need to start a program that really engages young professionals so that when they come to our community, they see all the benefits and they want to stay in our community. They want to get ingrained in our community and, help build a workforce for some of our employers. But what we saw as we progressed is it really has helped a lot of different types of businesses. So not just our large employers. We have young professionals who are entrepreneurs that are starting out and learning how to grow and build their networks. And so it's a good way for people, I think, to be able to make connections with other people kind of in that age range. Because, a lot of people that I met through the program, I'm still friends with, right? So it worked for me,
Right.
Even though I've aged out. But
That's
those
okay.
relationships continue, and that's the whole point. But it also, to your point, it was great because you get to get connected. We try to do programs that are not only we do professional development, but also learning about the community because they want to meet the city manager and the mayor,
Right.
Right.
Like they want to have those opportunities, and so we try to build that in. It's building their networks. We have networking events. We also partner with other organizations like AT&T Byron Nelson is helping us do a big event that we're inviting the young professionals from all of Collin County. So like the
Awesome.
Plano,
yeah.
Allen, and Frisco. So they'll all be joining us at another event coming up soon, kind of as a kickoff to the Byron Nelson. So that's super exciting. And then young professionals are very philanthropic, and they adopt a charity every year.
Wow.
So AEYL is the charity of their choice, which helps with workforce development. So they're doing some fundraising and some volunteering and things, which is also another way to when you build your network, when you volunteer next to somebody, you're building a relationship that's really lasting and meaningful. Plus, you're really giving back to the community. So, great program.
Yeah.
Great leadership on that on their team.
Yeah, I think that's very empowering, especially for young professionals in McKinney and Collin County. I mean, that's really awesome that you're partnering with the other communities as well and bringing everyone together to meet and just grow.
I mean, you know, being from Fort Worth, I mean, we are one big region.
Yeah.
So while obviously I'm very passionate about McKinney, and in fact came back to McKinney, that's how much I love this community. We're also part of the North Texas region, so I think
Right.
it makes sense for us to work together on a lot of things because what's good for Plano is going to be good for McKinney. What's good for
Right.
Fort Worth is going to be good for. I mean,
100%. Yeah.
we're one of the largest economies in the world. I mean, as a North Texas region, which is
Right.
crazy to think about. I mean, in the world.
It is
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I know Madison always says this. It's a common phrase: "A rising tide lifts all boats." So we're not necessarily
Yes.
competitors with other chambers or other communities, but we need to. Obviously, we
Yeah.
love McKinney and we want McKinney to grow and flourish, and we're going to talk all day long about how great it is.
Yes.
But we also regionally want to see that impact grow and
Absolutely.
develop. So tell me about some specific wins. We've talked about the impact of different programs. What are some things recently that you've done with the chamber that have been super successful that you're really proud of? Just brag about your chamber. For a minute.
Okay, yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is we focused on the package liquor store election. Why we did that, and I know some people are going like, why was the chamber pushing liquor? It's not that we were pushing a particular product. What we were pushing is keeping our sales tax dollars local. Texas has some very antiquated liquor laws. If you really dive into it, like somebody should do a podcast or a Netflix series just on that because it's quite interesting as I've had to kind of be in that world for a while. We had to, in order, so I'll back up. So what I would tell people is we're not trying to make liquor legal in McKinney. You can drink it already. You just couldn't buy it here. So you
Right.
could go right across the street to another community and purchase it. And those sales tax dollars would stay in their community and not in ours. And not only that, but we saw the loss of ancillary sales tax because I myself was guilty of it. If I was going to the Total Wine down in Allen to get, tequila for some margaritas for a pool party that
Yeah.
weekend, I'm going to stop at the Target there because it's convenience based.
Yeah.
So then you
Run your
start
other
bleeding.
errands along
and
with
I
it,
know
yeah.
the benefit of shopping in McKinney. So if the average person who's not really thinking about it, they're spending money in other communities, which is fine. But what that means is that it's less resources for our community because sales tax dollars in our community go for things that are very tangible. It's our police, our fire, water, roads, parks, the things that we love about our community. So we wanted to see those dollars stay here. So we launched a petition. So it wasn't that easy to get it on the ballot for the voters to vote on. We had to get 21,847 signatures in 60 days of registered voters in McKinney.
Wow.
Long process, got it done under the
Yeah.
deadline.
Did you sleep during those 60 days?
No, and I was very stressed. I was very
Yeah.
stressed. But we did. We got it done, and that was really exciting. And then we took it to the voters, and they overwhelmingly passed it in November. So we consider that a big success. It's something we don't see those dollars, right? Like directly to the chamber, because that was also another misconception when people are like, "Oh, you're taking a cut." No, we can't.
Right.
Like that's not for us. It's really because we believed that this is the best thing for our community, and we were the natural organization really to kind of leverage that and get that done. I think some of the other so that was a big success from a community win. Something from more of a chamber centric like for our members. I think we've developed. I talked already about the business development updates, but that has been super successful. And then the other one is our CEO series.
So good.
Yeah, I love it. I get to play Oprah, which is super fun. Except I don't get to give away anything
I was going to say, are you
other
getting
than knowledge
like cards?
and expertise.
When I was at the last one, we got a free breakfast.
I was like,
so
what are my
you
favorite
get a breakfast
things?
and you get breakfast.
Exactly. But we get to interview successful CEOs, and like that program has so taken off. I mean, the idea was, I thought, wouldn't it be fun if you could sit around a table of 20 people and have coffee with a CEO that you wouldn't normally get to interact with,
Right.
and learn their story, and because you can always glean great bits of wisdom and information and inspiration, and so that was the thought that we were going to do that, and that's how it started, and then it like grew to where sometimes we've had 100 people there, but we still try to keep it as intimate as possible. Like we want the audience to interact, and so that's exciting. to see things that take off, you know?
Yeah, and you exceeded my expectations with that event because I went to the last one you had. It was my first one.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, a chamber update thing. And I thought it was just going to be kind of a community update. But Derek Evers was, I think, the one being interviewed. And he gave so much just little nuggets on how to grow a business and feeding into that entrepreneurial spirit within most of us in the room. And it was just like so encouraging. And it was such a good energy. And I was taking on my phone, typing notes, like, wow, this is really not just like the community updates are helpful and we understand what's happening in McKinney, but this is also just such a value add to leaders. Like it was just so insightful. Yeah. And that was a great.
That was a fun one too, because we were partnering with the Collin County Black Chamber of Commerce because it was during Black History Month in February. And that was fun too, because then we had an opportunity to, I use the word partner and collaborate a lot. So I love it. It feels like an old, stale term to me because I say it so often, but that is what we do. And so that was really fun to be able to collaborate with them. And I think it brought even more value during that month. And we learned, first of all, he's related to Medgar Evers.
Yeah.
And he saved that for the last. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I would have totally led with that one. Yeah. But no, he was incredible. His story and I can never really describe it to people because it depends on the person that you're talking to and you're interviewing because you're going to learn something different from everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love one of the questions was, do you make your bed every morning? And he said no. And I was like, I love that. He's got young kids.
So
he's in the grind right now. And so you read these books, you're like, if you don't make your bed every morning, you're a failure. And it's and then he's just being real about it.
So when you get to work at 8 a.m. and you're like, my bed isn't made, my day is ruined. And you're like, no, it's okay. Yeah. Derek didn't make his bed.
That's right. Yeah.
And you see where he is in life. I feel like everything's going to be good.
I want to walk back a second to the initiative with the packaged liquor sales because I think this is important to notate, and I meant to bring it up when you were talking about it. You can act kind of as a separate, so for example, the EDC or the CDC, we can't advocate for or against certain propositions, right? We have to be politically agnostic. And the chamber, being that 501c6, you are not a department under the city.
Correct.
You are your own entity, and so you can take more of a politically active stance one way or the other, whereas with the city we have to be a little bit more it's a gray area. We just can't convince voters one way or the other. And I think it's cool that there's an organization that can kind of take initiative on projects like that, even though to no benefit to you directly, right? The chamber, like you said, chamber doesn't get a cut of packaged liquor sales in McKinney. You just saw it. The chamber saw this as a thing that's going to benefit the community. Hey, let's push this forward.
Yes.
And so I thought that was something cool to note, that you kind of acted as a bridge to the community on an initiative that you felt was important and your board saw as an important undertaking.
I think, and that is I'm glad you're making that point because I want to make a point because there are times when somebody will say, well, y'all just do that for the city. We don't just rubber stamp everything that the city does necessarily or what they put forward. We take those initiatives back to our board, and our board is there's a whole process through our bylaws, but it's of our membership, and they vet it and they say, nope, this we need to get behind this. So this is good. Or if it's something that we don't agree with, we may not agree with, and that's okay. That's our relationship.
Right.
But we can do things like we saw with packaged liquor, that keeping those sales tax dollars here in McKinney is good for McKinney. Okay.
I like to end the interviews with just some personal, we call them rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And so just first thing that comes to mind, we don't need to have a whole conversation about everything, just quick rapid fire responses. What was the best meal you ever ate?
Okay, so we were in the Swiss Alps hiking, and we would have a lunch every day that our guide went to the local store to get local food, so cheeses and meats and whatever was there. And so we would have this big picnic, and so, that was probably the best meal. The food was great, but the scenery was amazing.
I was going to say, I could probably eat my shoe in the Swiss Alps and have a great lunch. That's awesome.
And then I could hike it off. It was great. Yeah.
What was your first job?
Oh, yeah, well, going back to journalism, I was an intern at the Beeville Bee Picayune.
Okay.
And I would super exciting, some investigative reporting. No, I typed in school lunch menus and reports on the women's knitting club, so yeah.
Wow.
You got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. Yeah.
That's what planted the seed for journalism.
Yeah,
That's crazy
yeah, it
in
was
Beeville.
riveting what the kids were going to eat the next day.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah.
What time of day are you most productive?
I would say in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to not be a morning person, but I think having a child and having to get up and get going, like if I don't have a productive morning, it kind of like the rest of my day doesn't seem to get going.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck on a desert island, you can take 3 movies. What are they?
Legally Blonde. I love that movie. I know that's such a
I love it.
It's not like whatever, but it's just great. It'll make me laugh. Being more serious, probably Shawshank Redemption. Loved that movie.
Great movie.
And oh my gosh, this is really hard. I'm going to be generic a little bit, but I got to go with Forrest Gump. I mean, I can watch that at any time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Great choices.
Yeah, that's so good. Let's do the same question, but with books. So, Stuck on a Desert
love to
Island,
read.
3 books.
Well, To Kill a Mockingbird is my favorite novel of all
Okay.
time. My daughter is named Harper.
wow.
After Harper Lee. I would have named her Scout, but but my husband's like, let's go with Harper.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
No, it's such an. In fact, I picked it up the other day just to reread it. Let's see. Maybe something. Maybe like a Jodi Picoult novel. I won't be specific, just because I like all of her novels, and they're just really entertaining. And maybe do I go with a classic, or do I go with something like? I'm going to take the book that I'm reading right now, and it's Caste, Caste, and it's about the caste system in our society. It's quite interesting. Yeah, it's a little bit deeper, like a heavier read than a Jodi Picoult book. But
Hey, balance.
Yeah, I need a balance.
For sure.
You got to have like a fast read and then
something to challenge
your brain and really kind of open your horizons to things.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your number 1 bucket list travel destination?
So I love to travel.
Yeah.
Love to
Me
travel.
too.
And I have been fortunate to go to a lot of great places, but I would love to go to Antarctica.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on my list. Yeah, and actually we were supposed to go during COVID, and it got canceled, and but we hopefully we'll put it in the works at some point. Yeah.
Didn't you just get back from like a crazy trip? Where'd you go?
Yeah, I just went to London and Dublin.
Oh,
it was so nice.
I love both cities.
Yeah,
the Irish are so friendly.
They are. They really are.
Like,
we had a great time. Very friendly.
Like I'm an American, so I'm like, wait a minute, what? Why? And I'm a Texan. We're usually
Texas,
pretty friendly, but I'm like, they're like super friendly.
Interesting.
I'm like, are you trying to steal from me? I'm like, no,
this
they're
like
just
on?
nice people. They're just nice people, and they're so fun to hang out with. I mean,
it's so funny too, because people would say, "Where are you from?" and I'd say the U.S., and they looked at me like, "I know where."
Yeah.
So I was like, Texas, and they would say, "What part?" and I told them North Texas, and one of them said, "I used to live in Westlake." I'm like,
"Oh wow,
wait, what?"
Yeah.
How? Why?
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting. They're very. I think they're very in tune to the U.S., especially Texas, and I think they kind of love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're like I said, they such a great experience.
Yeah.
Being there. Yeah.
That's great. So last question: if you could spend an hour with anyone, living or dead, real or fictional, who would that be?
Oh goodness, wow!
I know it's a
lot.
It's
a heavy one.
It's a heavy one for rapid fire.
Okay, I know. And you said the first person that
pops
in your head. I am gonna go with. Oh gosh. You know what? I'm gonna go with Eleanor Roosevelt.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. I was trying to think of somebody like a strong woman that lived during a time that maybe you didn't have the same opportunities afforded across the board, and like how people had strength and grit,
resiliency of that,
to get through things
and
to make things happen, right?
Yeah.
So I
not
think
just
I'd go with
survive in
her.
that time, but affect change.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Wow. You got deep fast on that
Yeah.
one. That's good.
Great
I was
job.
like, I don't know, like, do I pick Elle Woods from Legally Blonde?
I know.
Yeah. You could go either way. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate
thank
you
you.
in the chamber. And this has
Yes.
been a great interview. We went a little long, but I think that there's just so much good things to talk about. No,
Yeah.
and it was engaging and dynamic. And I think there's so many different things. We'll definitely need to have you back in and talk more about some more specific initiatives, different things the chamber is working on. But thanks again. And if you've tuned in and been watching, then make sure you subscribe, like, follow on your favorite podcast channel or on YouTube for more episodes of McKinney Momentum. Lisa, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.